Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to our show, which is we Golf Bangladesh web portal and magazine. We have been conducting this, broadcasting this golf shows almost regularly. So during this COVID period, today I have two distinguished guests with me, and both of them are from India. First, I like to introduce you, Mr. Sampath Chari. You know him, he is the tournament director of PGTI. Has been long time with as a rules official and tournament director, more than 20 years. So next we have another referee from Assam. He is Mr. Prantor Baruah. He's also a veteran with PGTI, IGU, and also Women Association. So welcome to both of you, sir. And I like to start with
Thank
Mr.
you.
So I like to start with Mr. Sampath Chari, tournament director. Mr. Sampath Chari, sir, I know you for a long time almost. So, in fact, to start, I must say that you are my direct teacher because I've learned rules practically from you. Though I did bookish level 3, but after really I learned rules of golf. Anything if I've learned that is from you. So, especially I recognize that I learned from you is something like course marking, course setup, tee setup, green speed, course rating, slope rating. Those things are not there in the rule book. So, sir, it is just first question is to you. You have conducted almost more than 800 tournaments, and you have crossed more than 25 years. Sir, is it 20 years or 25 years?
It's 22 years.
Okay, sir. So tell us something about your this long journey as a rules official and tournament director, sir.
Thank you very much, Major Chow. Nice to see you back doing your golf shows. I'm sure it's a big success for you in Bangladesh, and I'm told that there are a lot of people following you. I'm glad to have you back, and after your recent little illness, very nice of you to come back. So welcome back to the show. And again, thank you very much, for making me your guru. It is just, a process wherein, I have been doing a lot of events in Dhaka, in Kurmitola, and in Chittagong. And we are very fortunate that we happen to meet out there. I was really, didn't know that golf would bring me up to the stage where I am. And it all started at a club level, just like anybody else did, and just like you are doing now. I started playing golf and then got interested into what the committee does and what a tournament director does. And then I started helping out at club events. And then slowly from, one thing led to another. And then I moved into professional golf, and they said, you're doing it. There's so much of time that has been lost doing golf work. So why don't you just make it your profession? So that's how I got into golf, and I joined the Professional Golf Association of India in 1998. We subsequently changed to the Professional Golf Tour of India in 2007, and that's where we are now. I must say it's been a long journey, and it's been good fun learning all the time. And the very fact that I've stuck on for so long is a simple fact that, to be successful in this field, apart from the fact that you should know your rules and know what you're doing, you must be in a position to win the confidence of all the players. If the players don't appreciate the work that you're doing, then I'm sure you will not go on solo. So it's very, very important that, whatever work you do, you're doing it ultimately for the players. And at the professional level, they are the first to come in mind. And when I say they are the first to come in mind, we work on a golf course, we work on different golf courses, we work with different sets of people. We got to make sure that when we give something to the player, it's all in a standard, uniform rate wherever we play. When I say rate, I'm talking about the quality of play, the quality of the golf courses. It's not very easy to maintain all these in one uniform manner that we would wish to have. We got to accommodate whatever is given to us, and then we got to make sure that at the end of the day, everybody is happy. In terms of the players being happy that they have played fairly and squarely, and that somebody else has won the game. There's been no cheating, and that the rules have been dealt with very, very fairly to all the players concerned. The golf course has been set up in the best possible manner. the greens, the fairways, the course marking, all that work which goes into the success of a tournament has been done well. If you enter into a golf course and get things in half measure, then it's never a success. If you do not know exactly what you're doing, uh, you're not going to gain much out of the tournament. Therefore, whenever you enter into a golf course, into a tournament, make sure you know exactly what you're doing and make sure that the player understands what you're doing, communicate with the player, and it's only then that you can go forward and get things done the way you want them.
Okay, sir. Kindly stand by, sir. I'll come back to you again. Let me bring Mr. Prantor. He is from Assam. Mr. Prantor, I know you because I have seen you in working with you a number of times in Assam and Calcutta. You are a senior referee in PGTI, also in IGU. Also, you work for Indian Golf Women Golf Association. Tell me your experience of refereeing, officiating golfs.
All right, thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me. And I started in 2015, and it's been more than 5 years now. It's been a wonderful experience. I'm really enjoying every bit of it. You know, meeting different people, going to different golf courses, refereeing in different tournaments. And then I have done a lot of PGTI events with Mr. Sampath Chari. When you referee with a person of a stature of Mr. Chari, you get to learn a lot of things, a lot of new things. As you know, he's very forthcoming. So it's been a wonderful experience all these years. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Okay. Tell me one thing by this time. Just I wonder, your Assam golf courses are open and how golf is going there?
Well, actually, you know, we do not have too many public courses, and one that's the Kaziranga Golf Resort is closed now, and many of the tea garden courses, most of them are closed, and partly some are open. In fact, we opened the club. I play in a club called Misa Polo Club. That's a tea garden club, and we opened it for a month or so. But when the cases started rising, we shut it down again. I played just 3 rounds, and now most of the golf courses are closed.
Okay. Okay. I'll come back to you. Let me bring Sampath Chari again and I'll come back to you. Sir, Sampath Chari, sir, can you hear us?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sir. My just next query. In fact, I saw you had been a number of tournaments, as you said, more than 800 tournaments. You have been outside. You conducted US Open. You have conducted Malaysian Open. There was some PGA, Central European Tour, Singapore Open. So many major tournaments, professional tournaments you have conducted. Sir, now I want to know a little bit about the major changes of golf, especially 2019. There little major changes in rules 2019. Can you summarize some of the important points so that our audience, those who are watching,
I
golfers?
will try and be as brief as I can, Major Chow,
Okay,
because
sir.
talking about the rules changes, there have been a lot of changes. First of all, compared to the 34 rules that were there in the earlier edition before 2019, we have only 24 rules now. It does not mean that a lot of rules have been eliminated. It's just that a lot of rules have been clubbed together. For example, the procedure for taking relief from an immovable obstruction and an abnormal course condition was the same. They were separate rules earlier, but now they're clubbed together as abnormal course conditions. The entire rule book has been, divided into about 9 separate sections. We've got the fundamentals of the game, which covers rules 1 to 4. We've got rules 5 and 6, which covers playing a hole and playing around. Rules 7 to 11, they talk to you about a ball in play. Rule 12 and 13 talks about the bunkers in the putting green. Rule 14, there are a lot of changes in Rule 14, which basically talks to you about the relief procedures that you undergo on a golf course. And Rule 15 and 16 are the free drop situations which you encounter again on every golf course. 17, 18, and 19 are the penalty rules. Will you proceed the game with a penalty stroke? And then, of course, as in every game, Rule 20 will cover issues which are guided by the committee. And the committee, will give you rulings regarding what has happened while the play is on and after the play in case something is not wrong. And the committee has to step in to rectify things. We've also got the other formats of play which are covered in rules 21 to 24. These are basically the other formats like your stable four, your against bogey, team competitions. and that kind of stuff. Now, if you talk about the major changes, the first and foremost change that you will notice is that it has the is on the emphasis. The entire emphasis on the new rules is on pace of play. Every rule requires you to, the entire change has taken place because of pace of play. For example, if you lost a ball now, earlier it used to be 5 minutes. The time now has come down to 3 minutes. And to make sure that that you don't waste much time in all these kind of things, there are a lot of penalties which have been removed from the game, such as searching for a ball. If you move your ball during search for it, there is no penalty. You replace your ball in play. You drop from a knee height only now. Earlier it was a shoulder height, and this again is done so that the ball comes to rest quickly in a bigger relief area. Club length is now the longest club in your bag. You have a relief area which to measure that particular club length. You will drop the ball in that relief area, and then you will play from that particular relief area. Uh, there is no penalty now for a double hit, which used to be there earlier. It's just counted as a one shot, which is an accidental double touch that has happened. Here, the double touch, it's already a penalty enough. So there's no point in adding another penalty to that particular double touch. We used to have plenty of areas known as water hazards earlier. They are now called penalty areas, and penalty areas haven't changed much. They're all of the same color. It's either red or yellow, and the rules haven't changed much as far as the penalty relief procedures are concerned regarding the penalty areas. The biggest thing as far as bunkers and penalty areas are concerned is earlier you were never allowed to remove loose impediments from these areas. Now, with the new rules in 2019, loose impediments can be removed, and there are a lot of suggestions that you can, to look after the golf course, you can break bunkers when your ball is in the bunker, as long as you're not improving the line of play. Anything can be done as long as this important word called CATS, conditions affecting the stroke, is not tampered with. These are some of the changes one can discuss in detail. And of course, another very, very big change is the action that will take place with the putting green. You can now putt with the flag stick in the hole. You can prepare a lot of damage with putting green, which earlier not permitted. Earlier, if you remember, in the earlier rules, you were not allowed to tap down spike marks. You're allowed to repair spike marks now. You're allowed to repair any other damage, such as the plug marks, the ball marks. Even the hole can be repaired now. And now there's an extra relief option for a ball which is unplayable in a bunker. You can come out of a bunker with a 2-stroke penalty, a total of 2-stroke penalty. And then you have a lot of changes in the local rule, which can permit a lot of gadgets, which can be allowed, a lot of equipment that can be allowed into play or not allowed into play, such as rangefinders. And these are some of the major changes that have taken place. And now there is a new concept that has come out that anytime that you want to determine particular situations, you got to be absolutely certain. When they say certain, you got to be 95% certain that the ball is in or out or whatever it is. This certainty has come in with a value attached to it. That value is now 95%. And there are plenty of these changes that have come in. And I've got people like Prantor who help me on the golf course, setting up the golf course, marking the golf course. And people like you yourself, you work with a lot of people.
Okay, sir.
Enable things to happen.
Okay, so I'll come back to you again, sir. It was wonderful to listen to those major changes. Now, let me bring again Mr. Prantor Baruah. Prantor, now we are in the business of growth a little bit. So I'd like to go a little in specific 2 or 3 interesting rules that was very applicable for our courses like ball on tree. We have almost in all courses, palm tree and tree. Every time ball goes to that tree, especially my ball. Whenever I play golf, my ball goes somewhere in the tree. So I am very much bothered on this rule that is called ball on tree. This, as you had been discussing, this is 7.2, maybe 19, immovable. That is not even unplayable. So can you tell us something specific on this rule and also wrong ball and wrong place, these 3 in together?
All right. Let me start with ball and tree. And when your ball is in tree, first of all, you have to know that ball is in the tree. People have seen it, or or there's enough evidence that ball is stuck in the tree. Then you have to first identify the ball, and to identify the ball, you can adopt any methods. You can see the ball. If somebody has seen it, there's only one ball lying there, one ball there on the tree. That can be presumed to be your ball. And then you have three options there. Either you play as it lies, or obviously most of the cases you don't play as it lies, because the moment you climb up, the ball moves. So you declare the ball unplayable. And when you declare the ball unplayable, you have got three options of playing. One is a lateral within 2 club length from the location of the ball, and back on the line, and stroke and distance. But when the ball is on the tree, then your reference point will be exactly below the ball on the ground. That will be your reference point. Now, when your ball is on a tree, when you want to take lateral relief or a back on the line relief, it's absolutely important that you know the location of the ball. Because to establish the reference point, you have to know where the ball is. It's below the ball, the point exactly on the ground is your reference point. If you have not seen the ball, on the tree, if you don't know the location, only option you have is to go back and hit the stroke and distance, take stroke and distance penalty. Now there's a question, there's another issue there. There's also in the rule you read about, if there's enough evidence the ball is in the tree, that evidence counts, but in a different context altogether. For example, imagine a situation where there's a tree very close to the green, and immediately after the tree is a red penalty area. Player has hit a ball from 150 yards, and you're not too sure the ball is on the tree or ball has gone to the penalty area. Player claims that ball has gone to the penalty area, then he, instead of going back 150 yards, he can take a lateral drop, the penalty area drop, and play it close to the green. But supposing there is evidence that ball is there in the tree, he doesn't have that option. He has to go back. That is where the evidence thing comes into play. If there's a virtual certainty the ball is in the tree, then player has to go back if you don't know the location of the ball.
Here, one point, Prantor, is, as you say,
yes,
identification of the ball is also important.
That's true. You have to identify the ball. If you identify that is your ball, that means you've seen the ball, you know the location. Then you can immediately below the ball, the point is a reference point on the ground. From there, you can take your lateral relief or back on the line relief.
I mean, in some understanding, the new rule, does it save us? I need to change the definition of identification of the ball, like my KT, my partner, or my co-player has seen the ball on the tree. Does it suffice the identification?
Ball has to be physical. If supposing there is no ball there on the tree in a particular branch, there's only one ball, people have seen your ball going there, it'll be assumed that that's your ball. That's an identification. But moment you have identified the ball, that means you have seen the location of the ball. But it is not enough to say that ball is stuck in the tree to take your lateral relief and back on the line relief. Because to take these two reliefs, you have to know the exact location of the ball to determine the reference point.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. And now the next question is
wrong place and wrong ball.
Wrong ball. I'll start with wrong ball. Yes. Wrong ball. If you play wrong ball, straight to a 2-stroke penalty in stroke play and loss of hole in match play. But in stroke play, when you play a wrong ball, before you tee off from the,
when do we call a ball wrong ball?
Wrong ball, there are many. Say you find a stray ball on the fairway. It's not your ball. You play it. That's a wrong ball. Your ball is lying OB. You play that ball. That's a wrong ball. You have picked up your ball on the green and you just set it aside, not with the intention of placing it. Just set it aside. You forget that you set it aside. You didn't bring it to your original place. You play that ball. That's a wrong ball. And moment you hit the wrong ball, there's a 2-stroke penalty. And before you tee off from the next hole, you have to correct that error. And the number of strokes that you have played with the wrong ball or the penalties you might have incurred, those are not counted. Only 2-stroke penalty for playing the wrong ball will be taken into consideration. But you have to correct the error before you tee off from the next hole. And in case of a ball playing from the wrong place, you have a 2-stroke penalty in stroke play and the loss of hole in match play. But there also, if your breach is very serious, that you have gained a lot of undue advantage, then you have to correct the error before you tee off from the next hole. Otherwise, if your breach is not very serious, you have not gained any advantage or anything, just a little bit, then you count your scores with the ball played from the wrong place and you continue. You don't have to correct your error in that case.
Okay, we'll come back to you again. So now let me bring again Sampath Chari. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sir. My next question is to you as a tournament director. You are vastly experienced. Tell us something about role of a tournament director. How should he control a game, manage a game, and especially for course setup, tee setup, course marking, this sort of thing.
Major Chow, I think that's a very, very important role that I play as far as my work is concerned. As a tournament director, the first and foremost thing is that you're working on behalf of the committee. So all that you do is you're working on behalf of the committee, you're working on behalf of your association, and very, very important is that there is something known as a tournament policy committee. The tournament policy committee consists of players, and they have their own set of rules to guide other players throughout the entire season, depending on various golf courses that they play on. Because the golf courses vary and are so vast and so many of them, wherever they go, they shouldn't find that suddenly what was there last week is different this week. So the standard should be the same everywhere. And for this, there are a lot of local rules that are in place which are determined in the hard card. So the hard card explains to you what the conditions of play are and what are the basic local rules that exist in every golf course. This local rules will comprise of your abnormal ground conditions, your embedded ball, and then other things like this, immovable obstructions. These will be standard wherever you play, whichever golf course that you play on. You will get free relief from this situation, from these situations. The only thing that perhaps will change is the role of your out of bounds. What are the changes in the out of bounds, and what are the other changes that you have your team ground that are changed? What is the status of those? So small changes like that can take place on the golf course, but far and wide, more important is that wherever you play, the local rules, as far as the hard card is concerned, will be the same. It could be in Chittagong, it could be in Calcutta, it could be in Bangalore. Now, to establish that, to make sure that that they don't differ in any way. For example, we don't allow practice putting on a green after you've completed the hole. This is the tour rule. It's not a rule of golf, but because of the tour rule, we've got permission to have this put into the rules of golf, saying that you will not be able to putt on the green once you've completed the play of a hole. This is a two-factor thing. First thing is that it you lose a lot of time. If you allow people to practice, you can imagine people won't be leaving the green after they finish the hole, and that is one hell of a lot of delay that would take place. Therefore, it's the role of the tournament director. One is before a play commences, one is once play commences, and one is after the play is over. It could be extended to a tournament, before the tournament, during the tournament, and after the tournament. There's a lot of work that goes on with day-to-day functioning. The tournament director is in charge of the entire golf course setup. He is in charge of making sure and ensuring that all players are dealt with fairly and squarely. And at the end of the day, the player should go home, whether he made the cut, missed the cut, won the tournament, not won the tournament, that he's felt with fairly, and that the winner has been dealt, has been a true winner, who's played better than him. So there are a lot of factors which we deal with in such kind of situations. It's the course setup, and like I told you, the entire rules team have come up with pace of play issue. Therefore, things like pace of play, that's a rule which we have to lay emphasis on and give more importance to it, that pace of play is maintained at all times. We also have a lot of other penalties that are included in the hard card, things like not taking bunkers, not behaving properly on the golf course, either with golf course officials or with the referees or with any other officials. There could be serious action taken on this. I'm sure you are aware now that under Rule 1.2, we have a code of conduct. And this code of conduct establishes the fact that apart from the rules of golf, you can have certain other penalties which can also come into play, which can also come into force. There's a lot of importance which is being laid to this to make sure that the professional golfer comes forth in the right spirit to the onlooker. A lot of people come to watch professional golf. They come to learn. And you don't want to see a golfer throwing clubs and spitting on the place and smoking, So these kind of things call in for stern action. But to
Sir,
ensure
can
that
I add a
golf
question here? Sir?
Yeah.
What's about does code of conduct include for a professional player like how he should deal with media? What's about talking to media for a professional golfer? Can he talk to media with at his own without informing his governing body or, for that matter, PGTI or
As long
whatever
as it
it
doesn't
is?
talk nonsense, it's perfectly fine. In fact, we have the media coverage normally runs after all the winners. You see, all the winners and the people who've been performing well, they run after them.
I'm
But
talking
at
about day
times,
to day. Now, like I have been interviewing a lot of players, but many was asking this. Almost maximum players of India I was covering last 2 months. Also some European players also. They had some of them have asked me as I now they know the rules of it. Uh, what's about this? They can come and face any interview, in any media once they're off.
they can. We don't ban them. We've not put in a condition saying that they cannot talk to the press. They can talk to the press as long as they come out in a positive manner and say nothing wrong. We appreciate it. There's no issue at all. And fortunately, all the players realize their responsibility, and nothing serious has ever happened on that front.
Okay, sir.
It goes on quite
Sir,
well.
thank you for the nice point, sir. I'll come back to you again. Let me bring Mr. Prantor Baruah again. Prantor, before I go to you,
Yes.
we have got a lot of questions for both Prantor and also for Sampath Chari. Once I'll come to Sampath Chari, I'll read his comments. But let me first find out for you. A lot of Brigadier Kamrul Islam has written, Mr. Sampath Chari, nice to see you after a long time. Please give your analysis on professional golf for Bangladesh. Mr. Jogabundura has said,
Thank you very much. Please say hello to him.
okay, then let me bring you both together. So next, Mr. Ridhi Shagma, he has written, do IG have age-based program for golfers? I think Prantor can say this. Is there any age-based program for golfers, amateur golfers? Prantor,
Sorry, I couldn't get you.
I asked you that do IGU, Indian Golf Union, has a program basing on age?
Sorry, I still couldn't get you. Joe, can you
I
repeat that,
think,
please?
can you hear me now?
There's a little problem with the sound. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me check. Hold on.
Did you ask me?
No, I did not off my audio. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes, please.
His question
Go
was,
ahead.
do IGA has any program for age-based amateur golfers?
Oh yes, IGU that got junior events every year that's running. Junior both boys and girls. It's a junior level from 10 to 18 years of age, different category, 10 to 12, then 13, 14, then 15 to 18. And they have also sub-junior tournament that is under IGU. It's run as a feeder tour. IGU doesn't conduct that. There are other organizations that conduct the feeder tour.
Okay, but IGA has, I mean, for amateurs, how many national team they may have, based on age?
They have, I don't know the exact numbers, but they have got plenty of tournaments. Eastern zone, West zone, South zone, and North zone. Everywhere they have tournaments. Apart from they have that All India tournaments also. Both for juniors as well as seniors. They have got plenty of tournaments.
They
Junior
maintain
for
also
both for girls and
national
boys.
number of national.
Sorry, they maintain a ranking that based on the ranking next year, whether they get an opportunity to play the entire year or they have to go for qualifying again. They have a beautiful system.
Okay.
And unfortunately, this year all tournaments for this year are stand cancelled.
Okay. Okay. Next question that somebody has posed is Mr. Jagabandhu Roy. Mr. Prantor, how many courses there in Assam? How Women Golf Association runs in India? Do you have any tea company as sponsor?
Yes. How many courses? You see, there are plenty of golf courses in Assam. Most of the courses are actually private courses. They are inside the tea gardens. There are private only for the tea garden members and all that. Very small percentage of people from outside the tea fraternity play there. These are mostly 9-hole courses. And there are hardly any public course. There's not even one public course in Assam actually. There's one called Kaziranga Golf Course, and that is almost now, it's not operating anymore. And then most of the courses are about 24 to 30, something between that. You'll have total number of courses, but these are 9-hole courses. And these are basically for recreational golf. But in the northeast, there's a 18-hole golf course in Shillong, where PGTI events also took place earlier. And then that's it. That's it about it.
Okay, well, what's about your sponsor? He asked about, do you have any sponsors for professional tournament or any tournament?
No, these are all club level. These are all club level tournaments. These are not really sponsored tournaments. These are local clubs. We generate funds in the clubs and all that, then we organize our tournament.
Okay, okay, I'll come back to you. Let me bring again Mr. Sampath Chari, and then bring you back. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think there is a audio problem, but I think now it is clear. So let me read some of the comments for you. As I said already, Mr. Kamrul has expressed best wishes for you. And then Mr. Jorobundu again, he wrote, Mr. Sampath Chari, please tell us how many years your experience, that sacrifice you're making. How do you see Bangladesh golf?
I think Bangladesh golf is like Bangladesh cricket. They have rapid progress has been there. There have been some excellent players, and the new rung of players. I mean, I was there right from the time that what's his name, Zamal Mullah won as an amateur. He ran away with the tournament, and the nearest professional, I think, was about 10 shots behind him. As an amateur, he won that event, the first event that we had in Chittagong on the in your Kurmitola on the old golf course. And that impetus has given so much of rise to other golfers in Bangladesh. They are extremely talented players. And then with the likes of Siddiqur and all those boys coming up and striving hard, it's been amazing. I remember one boy, I think I just forget his name, but he was working as a caddy for Mukesh Kumar, and I think he's on the order of merit now. A fantastic player. I would say that
very Ismail.
Hello?
Adam or Ismail you're talking about?
So, yeah, Sohail, sorry.
Sohail, okay. Okay, Sohail, yes. Yeah. He plays in ADT, own ADT, sir.
Look at that. He won an ADT, and I remember him as a caddy picking up balls for Mukesh Kumar. And he said, he came and told me that at that time, sir, I want to play like Mukesh Kumar.
Okay.
So that drive is there in a lot of players now.
Yeah, yes, sir. So thank you for your excellent opinion on Bangladeshi golfers. Now let me bring some query on again on rules. I want to know, sir, from you as TD, how do you call a game suspended, temporarily suspended? And also, how do you mark penalty area in red and yellow? What should be the guideline?
There is no fixed guideline as such. In fact, in the latest rules of golf, the committee authorized the rules bodies. They authorize you to mark the entire all penalty areas in red if you wish to do so. We have yellow and red, because what happens is that in the higher level of play, where the skill level is much more than what it is at the club level, I would prefer marking a lot of yellow, because it gives rise to a lot of doubtful issues as to where the ball entered from. If you mark it as red, and the player contemplates and says, no, my ball went from here, it's very, very difficult to tell him that, no, the ball did not go from here, it went from here. That leads to a lot of arguments, a lot of doubts, a lot of problems. So
especially, sir, for the island greens.
Preferably, yeah, island greens, it's best to mark it as yellow, so there's no issue of where the ball went in from. Take the case of your hole number 13 in Kurmitola. I think I mark it as yellow, give him a drop zone, so there's no question of where the ball entered from, etc. Use the drop zone, he plays and carries on. So it's not a fixed thing. You can mark it as red also. So one has to see how your course designer has set up the course, how he wishes to play the golf course, and then set it up accordingly. That's for red and yellow. And of course, now we also have the new local rule and the new rule of golf in place, which says that if it's for the red penalty area, you cannot take relief on the opposite side unless you're covered by a local rule. This again brings me to hole number 17 at Kurmitola, wherein the drive on that par 5 used to catch a lot of players with the ball landing up next to the 11th tee. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. So people would always go up onto the 11th tee and then play the second shot with a penalty from there towards the green. That ban has gone now. Sorry, that ban is there now. So unless you cover it by a local rule, you always got to play from fairway number 17 only, which makes the shot that much more difficult. That was so. There's no fixed point saying that this is where you should mark it as yellow or mark it as red. Uh, at club level, it gives you a lot of problems, really. So I would
But
prefer
new rules,
marking it
the
as
committee
red.
procedure, in new rule book committee procedure, they included one point regarding island green. We should prefer marking yellow.
That's what I'm saying. I just said if you mark it as
Yes, sir.
yellow, then there may not be a place for him to drop a ball. So you can make a drop zone and then you can go ahead with it. But now that's just a recommendation which the committee procedure says.
Yeah.
But you can always mark it as red in case you feel
One
that
step.
that's a much better option.
Okay, sir.
And now coming
Sir,
to your other question of suspension of play,
right,
there
right. That
is
is.
yeah. When you talk about suspension of play, there are two kinds of situations that come in while playing a hole or playing around. One is a dangerous situation, and one is a temporary situation. Now, if you've commenced to play of a hole, and the situation is of a very, very temporary nature, such as, let us say, bad light or something, then you can finish that particular hole that you're playing in if you have started the play of that hole, and then stop play, do not proceed further after you finish that hole. In the case of a dangerous situation such as lightning, you got to stop immediately. You cannot play another shot. You cannot look for a lost ball, etc. It has to be as early as possible, as quick as possible, as immediate as possible, and then evacuate the players away from the playing areas. Take them away into safe areas, into the clubhouse. And let me tell you, Major Chow, that for situations like this, it doesn't happen instantly. In big tournaments, you have people monitoring the weather situation on a continued basis. They will keep telling the TD, hey TD, there's going to be heavy lightning coming up in 10 minutes. You can suspend now. So TD is like you and me.
Yeah.
Looking up at the sky, he can't make
It's
a
fixed
decision.
position.
Yeah, but he gets a lot of inputs from the geologists who keep telling him that this is what it is. You should call off play. It's a dangerous situation. Don't play anymore. And they will also tell you that suspend play for 1 hour, suspend play for half an hour, and then you can take the things accordingly. So there is a
Sir, here
weatherman.
one point can I add? Like strong wind in our number of courses, as you are also experienced, like if it keeps on moving the ball and it is more than two or three
That
or
it's a
four.
good time. It's a very good, because then it doesn't call for fair play. If the ball is not going to remain at rest whenever you place the ball on the putting green, and you keep on replacing it, still doesn't come at rest. The best thing is to call off play, wait for the improvement, and then stop play. Here, what you can do just to make sure that again, when you're calling for evacuation of players from off the golf course, it depends on how long you are suspending play. And if it's going to be for a short while and it's not a dangerous situation, it is best to tell the players to hang on the golf course, maybe for 10 minutes, maybe for 15 minutes. That you're the best judge once you're there on the field, and then you can take an action accordingly. But all in all, you must think about two things. A is the security angle, the safety angle to the player, which in case of a very dangerous situation, best is to call away, call off play, and take him back to the clubhouse. If it is not a dangerous situation, then take it as it comes.
Okay, sir. I'll come back. Stand by, sir. And now let me bring also again Prantor Baruah. Prantor, again, two interesting rules like embedded ball. A lot of players are a little confused. And also
All,
preferred lie. The
all
players
right.
want
Okay.
give us preferred lie. So tell something
All
about these
right.
two rules.
Okay, let me get back to your old question once, not the question. Somebody wanted to know about the courses in Assam. There's also another very pretty 18-hole course that's an Indian Oil Corporation Assam Oil Division course at Big Boy. You have seen that course. We have a regular PGTI event there. It's been going on for a long time, more than 20 years probably. And I've been seeing Mr. Sampath Chari on that course for, even before I became a referee from since 2000. Anyway, coming back to your rule question, that embedded ball. embedded ball now, it's wherever is in the general area, you get a free relief. But the committee can restrict the relief only on the closely mown area, that the general area cut to the fairway height and lower. And when your ball is embedded, first you determine whether the ball is embedded or not. The spot immediately behind the ball is your reference point. From there, within one club length, you drop the ball. That's the relief
Hold
procedure
on.
for embedded.
Control.
Sorry?
For
Yes?
1.4, please stand by. Let me fix the sound again for you. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
I was telling that if it is embedded ball, then it has to be embedded on his own pitch mark. Own pitch mark.
Player's own pitch mark of the last stroke he played, of the stroke he
Because
played,
I
it
had
has to
this
be in the
situation.
may look, and the part of the ball has to be below the level of the ground. So then
I
the
had
ball
this
is
situation in Calcutta. In somebody's hole, somebody claimed this is
all
pitch
right.
mark.
Okay,
So,
I've already explained the relief
okay,
procedure.
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. And what was the next question you asked me? Embedded ball, you said, and
Preferred
another
lie.
rule question you asked me about the preferred lie.
Preferred.
Preferred lie, depending on the course condition, and you give preferred lie in the area, which general area, which is cut to the fairway height and lower. Preferred lie
It is
should
basically
never be
not part
given
of rules.
anywhere
It's
other
part of
than the general area. Which is cut.
committee.
It's a local rule. By local rule, you give preferred lie, but it's a legitimate option in golf.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, local rule. Yeah. Go ahead. So,
Yes, yeah.
as time permits, let me bring another two interesting point. Ball moved by natural forces and by outside influence, 9.6 and 9.3. By natural forces and also by
All right,
outside influence. Tell us about these two.
all right. When your ball is moved by natural forces, you play the ball as it lies. But on the putting green, there's a rule there. On the putting green, if you have marked the ball and lifted it once, after you have replaced it, if the ball is moved by natural force after that, you have to replace it again in the original spot. Earlier, the rule was that it was not that. Before in the new rules, you have to bring it back there. Otherwise, if you have not marked the ball, if you have not lifted the ball on the putting green, if it's moved by natural forces, you play as it lies. But once you have marked it and lifted it and replaced it, after that, if it moves, then you have to bring it back. Otherwise, in the general area, other area, if the ball moves, play from wherever it is. And as for the ball moved by outside influence, if there's an evidence that ball has been moved by outside influence, you replace the ball in the original spot.
Okay. Okay. For the last time, let me bring Mr. Sampath Chari. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, so if we have left anything, especially any major points on rules, so that players and audience they are benefited, you want to include, sir?
Okay, let me just tell you something on the putting greens. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Go ahead.
Okay, you know that I'll tell you what is the same. What is the same in 2019 and what was the same earlier, in which there is no change at all. First thing is that relief must be taken if your ball is on a wrong putting green. There is no penalty for any accidental movement of a ball or ball marker on the putting green, provided the ball or ball marker has been replaced and marked. Sand and soil are loose impediments only on the putting green. Deliberate testing of a green is not allowed by rubbing the surface of the putting green. That still exists now. You are not allowed to improve your lie of putt, your line of putt on the putting green, except for repairing damage, which I'll just come to a little later. And you can continue to putt, of course, with the flag stick removed or attended. And if your ball is overhanging the hole, the rule is the same. You can wait for 10 seconds to see if your ball is at rest. And otherwise, if it falls into the hole after 10 seconds, you add a 1 stroke penalty. Now, what is new? What is new for 2019? When your ball lies on the putting green, you may touch your line of putt. Either you can touch it or your caddy can touch it, including when pointing out the line of play. but you must not improve your line beyond what is now permitted, and that is basically what is the damage portion of it. You can putt now with the flag stick in the hole. That was not permitted earlier. So if you putt with the flag stick in the hole and the ball hits the flag stick, there is no penalty now. In the earlier rule, your caddy was not allowed to lift a ball on the putting green. The caddy is now permitted to go, mark your ball, and lift your ball, clean it, replace it. It is your responsibility to make sure that you play the ball from the right place. And this has come in for the simple reason that, again, like I've been telling you all along, it's been with an eye on pace of play. Just to improve that pace of play, the caddy is now permitted to do these flags. Now, damage is defined in the rules, and it means
Sir,
any
here
damage.
one point, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one point, like KD standing in the line of play, giving direction line of play is not allowed in new rule. Can you tell something about this, sir?
Okay, now that was rule number 10, wherein you're talking about advice and the caddy standing behind the player. As long as you've not taken a stance and as long as you don't play the shot, what I'm telling you is very important. As long as you don't play the shot, there is no problem if the caddy stands behind you. Let the caddy stand behind you. You can take your action, do what you want. But after that, you must step away from the ball and retake your stance once again. You get my point? The caddy can initially
Yes, yes.
guide you, make you stand the way you want. He can tell you, put your leg here, put your leg there, turn your body here, turn your body there, put your shoulders here, put your shoulders there. Having done that, you must move away from that particular spot and repeat the whole process on your own. This process is also applicable now on the putting green. This is a new modification which has come in the rules a couple of, I think, months ago. And I think Prantor already mentioned about the fact of a ball being marked on the putting green. And once that ball has been marked, and if natural forces move the ball away, you do not play from a new location. You have to replace the ball where it was originally marked. And one more important thing is that if you play your ball on the putting green with the flag stick in the hole, and the ball strikes the flag stick and comes to rest above the hole, but a portion of that ball is below the surface of the putting green, then the ball is considered to be holed. It doesn't have to come to sit in the circumference of the hole. It has been holed. Now, other damage like your spike marks, old hole plugs, they can all be repaired. And I also did mention to you right at the beginning of this program about a hard card. Now, we have a hard card rule in all the big tournaments. All the big tours have this, that turf plugs of any size, it can be a sandwich size, it can be a bread loaf size, all these are considered as damage and you can repair this. So any kind of repair like spike marks, damage to holes, it can all be done as long as you don't create a pathway to the hole. Don't make a pathway to the hole, otherwise you have no issues with it. These are the basic
Okay, sir.
changes on the putting green.
Okay, I'll come back, sir. And let me bring also Prantor for the last time. Prantor, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
Prantor, now I saw you personally in number of at least more than 4 tournaments that you are found very expert in marking the greens and tee, setting up the tee. So tell me something so that our audience is benefited. Like, what are the formulas you follow to put the holes and also mark the tee, set up the tee?
Well, well, that's as far as guided by Mr. Sampath Chari. That's what I do. And you look at the position, look at the whole position, which is really, you probably you worked with me last time when we did that. We take a machine also with us. We see that there's not too much of slope there. There's a place around the hole where the ball can rest. Is at least 4 to 5 paces from the edge of the green. And we decide on various factors and try to change it on every for all 4 days. We decide want to have different hole position there. Sometimes you might have to retain the same position for 2 days, but generally we see which is the best position where the ball stays there near around the hole. There's not too much of slope there. So that's what
that's the criteria
we follow. Sorry?
At least 2 to 3 feet level around the hole, so that ball stays, as you
Yeah,
said.
around that much. Yeah. So that ball, when a player cannot be penalized for a good putt. Ball shouldn't roll beyond but ball should stay around that area. These
Okay,
are
another
factors. There
point,
are other
like,
factors also we see. Supposing if there's a very
okay,
long approach shot, then I'd like to put the hole a little bit behind. And if it's a short approach shot, then I'd like to bring the hole forward. But there are many other factors that it goes into consideration.
tell something about the tee setup.
Sorry, I couldn't follow you. The tee setup?
Yeah.
Tee markers, you mean?
Yes.
All right. This is. I think I'll give that question to Sampath. Sampath will explain you better.
Okay. I fall back to Sampath sir. Sampath sir, like, can you tell us something like this tree setup and also green speed? Like, what should be a standard green speed for a professional tournament of our caliber or PGTI caliber? Green,
Do you know the old saying, Chow, that you
yeah,
drive for show and putt for dough? Yeah, that means
yeah.
that all the money that you make is on the putting green. And the faster the greens, the players love really fast greens because then you're just stroking the ball. And if the greens are true, it holds the line and goes into the hole. Now, it's very, very difficult for all golf courses to give a great green speed on all 4 days or 5 days and right through the year for the club members, etc. So only for particular tournaments, big tournaments, depending on the size of the tournaments that we come down to, do we get some kind of a green speed that we talk about. Now, green speeds, again, they're not very, very uniform. It differs from coast to coast because a lot of sub-layers below the green, that comes into play. So depending on what goes into the construction of the golf course and the golf greens, are you able to get speeds out from the green? So tomorrow, if I come back to your golf course and I want a speed of 12, it's not possible for you to give me a green speed of 12. Just because I want 12, you can't give me 12 because your course won't let you do that. So you got to go with all these factors in mind, and then depending on what best green speed that you can get. So you cut the grass at a particular level on the greens, the best
Sorry, here can
possible
I add
speed.
one point? Like, does green speed has relation with course rating and slope rating?
No, green speed doesn't have anything to do with that, but it definitely does bear into mind the difficulty of the hole that is being played, depending on the speed and the location of the hole where it is placed at. Otherwise, you're just your green speeds by itself. When you come down to really quick greens, like we have these greens at the Indian Open at the DLF, those greens are very, very quick. So depending on the pin position that Prantor just spoke to you about, you've got to be very, very careful as to where you're placing your pins. If the green speed there could be in the region of about 12 to 13 on the stem meter, the ball will not stop. I have seen occasions where people have putted from about 5 or 6 feet and the ball is rolled off the putting surface. That's how quick they are. But at the same time, the other greens are very, very slow, and you have to really hit the ball extremely hard to make the ball go into the hole. So depending on the surface condition that each green is made up of, that will determine the green speed, and that will determine your pin placement as to where you should put your hole. Because the faster the greens, the more careful you have to be with regard to your pin placement. The slower the greens, gentle slopes are most welcome. Ultimately, we don't want to give easy pin positions to a professional golfer to earn his bread and butter. We got to test his skills out. And we know that the putting surface is one area where you're playing the ball along the ground, and it calls for different skills altogether. So this would bear a lot as far as the hole location and green speeds are concerned. Now, depending on tees again, you've got to be very, very careful that to give the player a fair chance of getting his ball into the fairway. You got to see the surrounding trees around you. You got to see the overgrowth of bushes, trees, branches around the teeing area. You got to make sure that they don't come into play. Remember, the width of the teeing area, the depth of the teeing area is 2 club lengths. So the player can tee off from anywhere behind the tee markers within those 2 club lengths. So your entire area within which the player can swing the club freely that should be looked into. Make sure that the surface is absolutely as flat as can be. We have this big problem of teeing conditions in your country and in my country, wherein the tees are not very, very big. So we have a lot of slopes on the tees. Now that makes the stance for the player very, very awkward. He's not able to take his stance properly and play a shot. So we got to give emphasis on that. And then, of course, you can decide on, depending on how broad the fairways are, you can go in for your hook shot or a side shot or a straight shot. You can make the player lay up depending on how you want him to play that particular hole and how difficult you want it to play. So these factors will come into it. You got to think about it and then place it. And then remember, you got to plan for 4 days, 5 days, in fact. In some cases, the 6 days, because you have a pro-am also being played. So you have a practice round, you have a pro-am, and then 4 days of competition in golf. So and especially on par threes, there's nothing left behind on the teeing surface. We give such areas because your tees are very, very slow, very, very small. And case would be that of hole number 2 at Big Boy, which Prantor just spoke about. It's a small little tiny tee. There's no place to put tee. Oh, you are also very familiar with that. That's your area of work. Correct, correct. So these are the factors that go into the positioning of tees and green spoons.
Sir, I'll come back, sir, for last time. Prantor, if you have anything to say for our show, because you have never been in Bangladesh, so do you have idea about Bangladesh golf and as a whole? So
whatever I know about Bangladesh golf is from you. Whatever I know about Bangladesh golf is from you, and I'd love to come to your country and referee there. So we are neighbors. Geographically also, we are neighbors.
Okay, that's what I am looking for. The COVID has made us, at least, if not 3 to 4 months back. So hopefully, sooner or later we'll find you here also in Bangladesh. So for the last word, if you have anything to say about golf, Prantor.
Well, wonderful job you're doing in Bangladesh. I'm very happy. I think it was for Sampath, I think.
It is for you, and then I'll go to Sampath.
Okay. All right. And it's a wonderful job you're doing for Bangladesh golf. It's lovely to see you, so active. And as I said, I'd love to come to your country and referee once, and also visit different places there.
Okay. Thank you, Prantor. Stand by. Let me bring Sampath Chari also. Sir, your word, last words for us, or for golf for Bangladesh or India.
Just keep doing the good work that you've been doing. You've got a fantastic driving range at Kurmitola. I don't think there's anything better. And I see so many tons of golfers. You don't get time to play on Saturdays and Sundays. Just keep that going. The golf course maintenance with people like Ashraf, I think you're doing a fabulous job. We always get a fantastic golf course when we come to play there in Kurmitola. And just keep at it.
I must add one point here, sir. You may remember, this is because the Kurmitola golf course is in better condition because of GM, Lieutenant Colonel Abdul Bari, and also for our CEO, Brigadier Hamid. I think you have seen those two. They are working very hard.
I was
Go ahead,
that, and you took away the words from my mouth. You can't do that, Chow. I have to speak first, only then you can talk. Yes. But yes, Colonel Bari and gang are fantastic. They help us a lot when we come down there for our tournaments. And hats off to them. Your progress in golf in Bangladesh is thanks to them, because they play one very, very big role behind the scene.
Sir, thank you very much for your wonderful words and knowledge that you shared with us. Thank you, both of you, for sparing your valuable time with us, sir. Definitely our audience will benefit out of this. Thank you, both of you, sir. Thank you. Good night, sir. I like to end the show by
thank you.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
Thanks for having. Bye-bye.